Now everybody, Cantonese Cat here. I just want to let you know I do have a YouTube channel. It's on youtube.com at Cantonese Cat. And on the YouTube channel, I do have a members only section. If you want to join, it's only like $4.99 a month. If you want to do it, you don't have to. I'm still going to try to keep like majority of my videos for free. I would say like almost like 95% of my video for free because I just enjoy talking about the market, enjoy doing live stream for free. I just enjoy doing it. So I'm going to keep pumping up content. But if you're interested in joining my membership, so far I have these like members only lectures. So far I have about 7 of them talking about like the Gantt square on log scale. I just added this yesterday. Ichimoku cloud, Bollinger Bands, divergences, Fibonacci. So if you're interested in learning like the technical analysis is stuff that I generally use, I talk a little bit more about it as like a lecture format. I'm also going to start maybe doing a little bit more like these portfolio updates. So I'm going to talk about like my top 20 stock exposure, maybe more like on a weekly basis-ish, maybe for members only. I'm going to do one here a little bit publicly for now, at least to kind of show you part of my thoughts. If you want to join, the join button, I guess is right here. You're only really able to get this, I think either on Chrome or on Android. It's not available on Apple iOS. It's just like, some funky thing that YouTube does. You can join using you can join using Chrome or Android or some other format. Even though you won't be able to see the join button on iOS, even after you joined, you will be able to see the content. You will have access to it on Apple iOS devices. So it's a little bit of a nuisance, but if you want to do that, feel free. I'm just going to get right into it. This is my top 20 company portfolio on my biggest stock account. And you can see that it's pretty diversified. I'm going to talk about Palantir maybe towards the end on my members only section here. But just look at it, I have a lot of exposure to Magnificent 7, Google, Nvidia, Tesla, Amazon, Meta, Apple, Microsoft, even Broadcom is technically not Magnificent 7, but it's like top 10 of the S&P 500 list. So I have all these exposures here. Do I own any individual stock? I only own individual stock-wise, only own Tesla. That's it. Everything else is really through exposure to index fund or leverage index funds. I do have extra Nvidia exposure from a double leverage version of the SMX, which is called USD. So I do have a little bit extra exposure to Nvidia, which is why it looks a little bit bigger. And Tesla also own like outright, basically, of the bigger square over here is my individual stock position. So so I do own Magnificent 7 in a big way. The question is why? And my rationale is like a lot of people are really getting scared in terms of like what recession is, when it's coming. There's a lot of bad narratives out there. A lot of people are scared because we haven't done anything for 3 months. If anything, like they're just wondering whether or not this is the top. Just like they were wondering whether or not this is the top over here from like July 2023 all the way to October 2023. I mean, price has done nothing but gone down, right? Right now, we're just kind of gone sideways here. What the heck is going on? Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm not that scared about the QQQs and about the market in general, because right now you put up the monthly Ichimoku cloud, you had a bullish cross here October 2023, and since then the tank and the blue line has been very nicely extended away from the red line over here, right? You have a very nice tank and kitchen expansion after the bullish cross, right? This is generally like the early mid bull market type behavior. Because last time, when was the last time I had a cross? Last time I had a cross is written back here in like January 2010. And then since then, it's just been kind of contracting, expanding. And right now we had a bearish cross in like September 2022. And we had a bullish cross here in like October 2023. And since then, it's just been expanding, right? On a bull market, you're supposed to have a back test up the tank and on the blue line over here before bullish continuation. And we certainly have had that happen on previous bull markets, and it's completely healthy. Whenever it comes back down and touch the tank and on the way up, it doesn't necessarily mean that the bull market is over. And whenever things just get a little bit too overextended away from the blue line, like it did over here, price just either gravitate through price going down or through time, which is what we're doing right now. Right now, the tank is finally caught up. I think that there is actually room for the QQQ to actually start running up now, maybe perhaps as soon as October or November. I think QQQ is going to have this bullish continuation. And there's nothing really that scary about it. Looking at the monthly Bollinger Band, nothing's really overextended here. Before, like, look, for example, like from April to August, you can see like a pretty significant overextension. And that really had made this kind of bull trend maybe a little bit more exhausted and a little bit more of like a muted the bull trend up, right? But so far, like, you know, over here, same thing, a little bit of exhaustion, right? And it had to go sideways for months after that. We're not really having that. I think so far is actually not really too entirely overextended, which is kind of crazy to think about. Looking at the Gann chart, I've been starting to get a little bit more obsessed over the Gann here. If you want to know how I do it, I have a lot of exposure to the Great MASB, so I've been kind of dabbling on the Gann chart here a little bit. I'm not going to go through like all the technical details because you can learn that from joining as a member, and you can watch my like, you know, Gann chart on log scale video. I'm just going to say like the duration, I'm going to make it 750, sorry, 720, right there, 720. And I'm going to play around the ratio here. Now the ratio, you're not supposed to pick like any number just to fit your bias. Usually you start with 1 and then you see what you see. And there's like some other ratio numbers you can play around with. I'm going to just play around with some of these ratio numbers here. But just taking 1, you can see like pretty significant market symmetry here. You can see that it's been kind of hucking the angle over here very, very nicely on the way up, right? And the angle has been kind of back tested multiple times. You can also see that the arcs have been beautifully, you know, serve as resistance and also back tested as support. You can see that serve as resistance and then gotten close to back tested support over here. You can see that the angle is also very nicely going up, right? Resistance, back tested support, resistance over here, back tested support, right? And so far it looks like price also have back tested the horizontal over here too, back in September, October of 2023. So where is the price going to end up gravitating towards? It's probably going to gravitate towards maybe around like 560 to like around 610, somewhere around there, up here around the arc. That's where I think maybe you're going to start getting a lot more tiredness of the bull market right up there. But I don't think we're quite there quite just yet. Now, if you're looking like, okay, so why are we having so much resistance over here? If you're thinking price would gravitate up, why doesn't things just go up in a straight line? Well, first of all, I'm going to show you we do have resistance here at this level. Second, I'm going to say like price doesn't just go up on a straight line. That's not how the stock market works. A lot of people get freaked out just because things like stall for a few months, and it's completely normal to have that happening in the stock market. Now, why are we having such a hard time breaking above? If I change the factor to 2, you can see like right now we're kind of stuck inside the arc. And for the month of August, you know how scary it was, the yen carry trade, all that BS. What happened in August? Well, it was hitting resistance. What did it do? Came back test almost perfectly at the bottom of the arc right there. Like this is, I'm not making this up. Almost perfectly back testing an arc right there. And it's not like I'm dragging the arc I was dragging the square to try to make things fit. You know, I didn't do any of that. And also over here, like look at how nicely the rejection happened over there, right? So I think all of these things are actually predetermined rather than me just trying to fit my personal bias to trying to fit things in. Right now we're still at resistance because we're at the resistance of the arc right here. We are back above the angle, so it does look like I think we do want to kind of push through. And very confluently, like where's the price going to end up going? Maybe the 16s level, which is kind of like what I was showing when I was at the ratio 1, right? Like if I change it back to 1, you can see like the top of the arc over here, maybe around 610, somewhere around there. And if I change it to 2, you can see right now we're at a little bit of resistance. I think we're probably going to end up breaking through that. And it's probably going to be around like the 16s. And that's probably where it's going to be, right? If I change to a factor of 5, are we going to see any like, you know, interesting market symmetry here? The answer is yes, right? You just kind of zoom out to see how good 5 also works. You know, bounce off of the angle over here, bounce off the arc over here, resistance over here, back testing the horizontal zone over here, resistance over here, back tested the arc. And right now, what do we do? What do we do over the last half year? We were hitting some resistance here at the horizontal, and we broke through and we back tested the horizontal here on the factor of 5, right? So it really does tell you that things probably end up going higher. Now, do I think it's going to go like to like 700, 750? Probably not for, you know, immediate future, maybe like a lot down the road. But it's just kind of interesting in terms of, hey, we're kind of stuck in a range. Because if you change the factor to 2, we're at resistance, right? I'm going to move this over here. You can see like when I change the factor to 2, we're at resistance, right? But if you change it by a factor of 5, we're at support. So it's stuck in a range. And that's kind of what is really happening right now. If I change the factor to 10, you can also see that you kind of already had a little bit of back test here at the arc over here after it was resistance over here at the top of the bull market in 2021. we were able to break through it and back tested it, and now we're able to break through it and back tested the arc, right? So where's price going to end up gravitating to if it's like 10? For the factor of 10, it does look like maybe the next level is around 680, but I do think 610 is probably going to be a pretty strong resistance, and we probably end up having the cycle perhaps ending around 610. That's kind of how I'm seeing with the Gann chart. Like you're supposed to keep objective. You're not supposed to mess with too many things, and if you don't, and I just drew this for you. Like I didn't really mess around, drag anything, try to fit my bias. I just put in a couple of numbers on there, and the numbers I'm supposed to put in, and it just gave me this beautiful chart. I don't have to do anything, right? I do have a position in TQQQ. I do want to also show you too, in terms of what I'm thinking if I do a very similar Gann chart. Now for the TQQQs, because it doesn't have as much history as the QQQ, QQQ has a lot more history, right? So for TQQQ, they just started having this financial instrument after the Great Financial Crisis. So instead of doing like 720 duration, I'm going to do like 360. I'm going to do a Gann square here, starting from the bottom actually. I want that bottom to be hitting the wick over here with the magnet. There you go. Now, if I change this to, let's see, to 360 on the duration, which is going to be right there, right? And the initial thing I'm going to start with TQQQ is going to start with just the factor of 1, which is how you're supposed to start at. So if you look at this, where are we at right now? Well, interesting market symmetry as well, right? Like I'm not making this up. Looks like the arc here means something. Looks like the arc here means something. Bottom arc here means something. The arc here means something. Looks like the horizontal zone over here means something. It looks like the angle over here also means something, right? The top of the horizontal zone over here, which is perfectly got rejected from the last bull market, right? And you broke down, came back down to the other horizontal level down below, came back. Looks very similar to QQQ in general. Got stuck in this arc over here. Now you're breaking above the arc. Where do I think price is going to end up gravitating up towards for TQQQ? Well, I think we still need back test the 90 level in order to break through. The cycle to potentially end for TQQQs around like the 150s. That's kind of where I'm seeing this could be, right? Looking at the factor of 1. Let's say if I change to the factor of 2, does it give me any different view here? The answer is, yeah, it does give me a different view, right? The different view here is that I think we actually have, and you just kind of zoom out, like look at how nicely the arc over here was, support, how nicely the arc over here was serving as support and resistance, how nicely the arc over here was kind of back tested, and also how nice this horizontal level has been. Look at how nice the arc over here was resistance. Look at how this horizontal zone over here was very nicely flipped from resistance over here to support, right? And where are we at right now? Well, very simply speaking, the arc have been flipped from resistance over here, back test the bottom of the arc, broke through, and what do? Right now we're back testing the top of the arc, right? So where is price going to end up gravitating towards for TQQQ? I think it's probably going to end up gravitating towards maybe like the 150s, which is basically what I was seeing as well, right? I would say that if price gets up to 150s, could it be equivalent to like QQQ up in the 600, 610? I think so. Perhaps, maybe even like the 680, who knows, right? But I just want to show you, like, I'm just not really messing around too much. I just input a few numbers and it just give me these kind of beautiful charts here, which is the whole point of doing the Gann. I want you guys to follow the great Matsby. He's really like the master of it. But yeah, that's part of the reasons to why I am still pretty heavily invested in all of these Magnificent 7, and part of the reason why I also have significant exposure to Nvidia. Let's start a little bit Nvidia here, because I do have a lot of exposure to Nvidia. I did have this chart here. I'm gonna basically kind of just get rid of it and just kind of show you what I do when I look at the overall Nvidia chart, right? This is the monthly, and the price history really gone back all the way down up to like 1999, right? So if I just do again all the way from the bottom of the entire history of Nvidia, and because there's a lot of history, I just want to make sure I'm doing this at the right wick over here. Yes, I am. Yep. So there's a lot of history for Nvidia, right? I'm gonna make the factor. Let me see here. I'm gonna make the factor maybe like 720, just to try to capture more price history, right? So I'm gonna zoom out here. I'm gonna make the duration 720, not 760, 720 right there, right? And I'm gonna go ahead and immediately put in factor of 1 because that's how you're supposed to start. Right? What is it doing right now? It looks like, do we have a pretty decent market symmetry? The answer is yes. It's been following up this angle up here almost perfectly, right? And it got rejected here at the arc. Eventually it was able to break through, back test it, but broke down underneath. And then eventually able to back test the arc over here again, follow the angle up to the next arc, and break through this arc. Got challenged by the arc after that, and got rejected down here, but was eventually able to break through, back tested it, went to the horizontal level, and when it got to the horizontal level, it didn't really quite get to the top, the bottom of the arc over here on November 2021, but got close, right? Came back down, back tested the horizontal level, pushed through this arc, back tested the arc, and then right now, Nvidia, what did happen? Well, it basically just got rejected over here by the horizontal, and then broke through, and also right now it's just kind of back testing the horizontal level, right? So if you look at this, you're like, okay, it actually looks pretty nice. Like it favors further bullish continuation, maybe up to like the 280, 350, somewhere around range up there, right? And what if I change the factor? Does it give me like a little bit of a different picture here? The answer is yes. If you change the factor a little bit, this looks like the TQQQ, where actually look at how nice the market symmetry is. If you change like from like 1 to 5, right? You can see like the horizontals here are very, very well respected. The arc here is very well respected. Horizontal here is very well respected. The arc up here is very well respected, right? Horizontal here is very well respected. The arc over here is relatively well respected. What's happening right now? We had resistance of the arc here, broke through, got into the arc, and right now we have resistance on the top of the arc, right? So we are at resistance, according to, if you use the factor of 5, we are at resistance, but if you change it from the factor of 5 to a factor of 1, you are at support, right? So we kind of stuck in a range here for a little bit. And that's exactly what Nvidia is doing. Now, I still think that if I change it to the factor of 5, you can still see a very similar target, like around like maybe the 350s, right? There's a lot of confluence if you just change the factor. You can still see if we break about the arc, I think 350 would be like a pretty natural zone for it to kind of gravitate towards, right? Between the factor of 1 and the factor of 5, there's a lot of confluence. So to me, it almost doesn't matter what factor you use, as long as you use the right number. It really is able to kind of tell you the story, is able to tell you what's going on. And that's also part of the reason why I still have significant exposure to Nvidia here too, right? Finally, I want to end this video with Tesla to kind of go through what I'm thinking, and then I might make a members only video to talk about the rest of my stock for the weekend. The Tesla chart, let me just go ahead and pull it up here. So also, Tesla also had a lot of history, right? It also dates back all the way to like 2010. Now, if you're looking at the Tesla chart, what do I think about Tesla overall? Do I think this is a bullish chart or a bearish chart? I gotta say I cannot be bearish on this chart anymore, because if you just simply pull up some of the other indicators that I generally use, now, if the Bollinger Band would cooperate, oh man, it's not doing it right now. Let me go ahead and reload and see what happens. All right, let's go back to the Tesla chart over here. If I pull up the Bollinger Band, what you're seeing is that the 20-month moving average has turned from negative curling to positive curling, and serving from resistance to support, right? Before, you weren't really able to use the 20-month as support because it was negative sloping, but now it's positive sloping. It's probably going to serve as pretty decent support moving forward. And you just also look at the Ichimoku cloud on the monthly. It's reclaiming the Ichimoku cloud, got back inside, and so far it's got a pretty nice reaction. As long as it stays inside the cloud for a longer period of time, for over the next couple of months, and then I'm really positive that I think Tesla is going to have some pretty positive price action. Look at all the support that it has underneath right now, like the Tenkan, Kijun, the red line, blue line, bottom of the cloud. Tesla just look really nice right now. I like it. I'm going to keep adding to it. So Tesla is where I'm adding to. I'm also adding to like a double leverage SPY fund called SSO. Like I add like maybe some tiny shares to it almost every week. I do not add any to like TQQQs anymore. I still add to like QQQ. I still add to SP 500 on a regular basis. But I do want to talk on my second video for members in terms of like what I'm doing with the rest of my DCA, if you will. Tesla looks nice. Let's do a GAN here. And because it has a lot of history here on the monthly chart, I'm going to do GAN in terms of maybe do like 360. Go ahead and pull the Gann square here and use that bottom wick over here as the corner there. I'm going to go all the way and let's extend to 360. If I can see, 360 is right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and change the factor. And again, the reverse factor, you can change it to 1, but like 1 is not going to be that helpful anymore because, you know, price already kind of like, you know, broken above of it. But even with 1, you can see that like a lot of very nice symmetry, right? But I'm going to change it to 5. So it gives me a little bit more history here. So if I change it to 5, what you're going to see is like a beautiful market symmetry. You're going to see that it's basically tested the angle over here, broke through the arc, back tested the arc, went to the next arc and tested the bottom of the arc, broke through the arc, back tested the arc, and then what did it do? It went to the next arc up here, initially got rejected very nastily, and next thing you know, it pushed through, and right now we just went ahead and grabbed it to the next arc. We've been following the arc over here ever since like 2021, right? Trying to break through, nope, broke back below, and broke back above, back testing the top of the arc. Right now, I think we've tested the top of the arc here enough. So where is price going to end up gravitating towards next? Probably going to gravitate towards the horizontal line over here around like 400. But I'm really thinking maybe more like 600, somewhere up here. The reason why I think like maybe 600 somewhere up here, and it could happen as soon as like 2026. The reason why I think that could happen is because if I just do a Fibonacci level from this high over here, actually, let me make sure that I am selecting that wick perfectly. There you are. If you just do a Fibonacci level, you know, just using the cycle high and cycle low, and I'm not going to do log here, I'm going to do linear. You can see that I think a reasonable area for Tesla to go up to after its consolidation, after it passes this 400 previous all-time high level, like around 414, I do think that the next logical level is going to be the 1.618 Fibonacci extension level, and that's probably going to be like around the arc over here, and it's probably going to be around like February 2026. That's what I'm seeing, and that's also part of the reason why I'm comfortable with just keep adding to Tesla currently every week, even though I have trying to add a lot more. Like currently my cost average is under 200. I'm going to try and add a lot more here in terms of Tesla, because I see that the technicals just turn positive. And I can see like over like the next 18 months or so, I can see Tesla doing some pretty amazing things. Is it necessarily going to happen? No. Like it could hit like 600 over here in like March of 2027? Sure. Does it have to hit that at all? No. Can it get rejected to 400 and just kind of go around here for a while before breaking out maybe 5 years later? That's always a possibility, right? But that's when you're talking about investment. This is an investment, and you just kind of have to, you know, take into consideration of different scenarios. But I cannot ignore the fact that it's really messed around with this arc over here for 3 years, just like how it messed around this arc over here for like five years, you know. I think it's messed around with this arc enough. I think it wants to break out away from the arc, kind of like how it did over here. And I think the next level is going to end up gravitating to is going to be the horizontal, which is around 400, where it got rejected previously. And the next level is going to be this arc over here, which can hit somewhere around the high 500, low 600s. And I do think that if you give enough time over time, perhaps another 3 to 5 to 7 years, I do think that 1800 is going to be a reasonable target, perhaps by the end of this decade, if not like early next decade, right? I do think that that's a reasonable target for it to hit. I don't necessarily think it's going to like hit any crazy targets, but think about if you're buying in like 2024, and if price goes up to like, let's say in 2034, it goes up to 1800, that's a pretty sick gain of like like an 8x, right? Or like, I guess it's like 7x now, right? But that's not a bad gain. Like, does it have to take that long? Not necessarily, but you'd be outperforming the S&P 500 if that happens, right? So just food for thought. I think it could potentially hit up here. Who knows? Maybe even by before the end of the decade. Maybe even before 2028. I do not know, right? You're gonna have all these resistance up here before going up there. But that's just kind of how I think about Tesla, and that's why I'm adding still at these levels about a share per week. I don't know when I'm going to stop adding. Maybe I'll stop adding maybe around 300, or if I think that there's a potential price to go down lower, I might, you know, kind of hold off on adding. But right now, I just think that it's a pretty decent level to add still. I mean, it's not as good as like 140s or 100, but I still think that's a pretty decent level to add over here, just like it was over here. None of this is financial advice, none of this is deterministic, but I'm just showing you what I'm seeing. So if this information helps you, great. If you want to listen to the second part of the video to talk about all the other stocks that I have, including some of the miners in terms of what I'm thinking, in terms of the levels that I'm looking at, in terms of like Shopify, all the fintech stuff. Yeah, stay tuned to the next video if you want to join as a member. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Bye.